Thanks for listening and subscribing to the Clive Barker Podcast, episode 252. In this short news episode, Jose and Ryan are joined by Ed and Nina Martinez. Nina recalls going to the party with Clive Barker, Allen Ginsberg, and other famous people in attendance, where the light, wisdom, and sound installation happened. David Cronenberg is going to join Clive Barker for a fan photo op and some news from Doug Bradley. All right, welcome. This is episode 252 of the Clive Barker Podcast. This is a news episode, and today we're joined by Ed and Nina Martinez.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey guys, this is Joe. It's always good to have you guys join us here at the show. So thanks for coming.
Sure, no problem. We're old Cenobian mates.
Yep, that's right. So there's some big news today as we're recording this. It's Friday the 13th, and we're actually recording a few interesting things for this weekend and the next. But for the news episode,
we got Friday the 13th, everyone.
Yeah. It's too bad that because of the coronavirus, a lot of conventions are being canceled all over the country. I know some people were going to see. What's the name of the guy who plays Jason?
Kane Hodder.
Kane Hodder. People are going to kill me for forgetting his name. I think Kane Hodder was supposed to be at this convention, and the convention got canceled. And so I have a friend of ours of the show whose name is Maz, and I think she's really upset that she can't see Jason. So, it's a Friday the 13th, and unfortunately
there'll be another convention.
Yeah, hopefully when things pick back up, everybody will have saved up their merch money and be ready for more.
Yeah.
And Ryan just did a convention recently, too. Congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, there's some big news for Hellraiser fans this weekend and Nightbreed fans. You wanna start with one?
Oh, yeah. Well, David Cronenberg is going to be at Texas Frightmare weekend with Clive Barker, and they're even going to do a group photo together, which, as far as I know,
cool.
That's never happened, right? I mean, I don't think so.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
I never heard of Cronenberg doing conventions, to be honest.
That's a rarity,
Yeah. He's always been kind of a more artistic, artsy kind of director. So,
what city is that?
That's in Dallas. Yeah.
Yeah. Near the Fort Worth.
From Canada to Dallas.
I know. Well, and also you would think most people would be there to talk to him about his films, more than
he's got a ton.
I mean, we're huge Nightbreed fans, so we're a little different, but
Videodrome.
I know. The Fly. Yeah.
So he's going to be there doing photo ops, and I think I'm looking at the photo op prices. For example, I see Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's going to be 3 days that he's going to be doing that, and it's going to be $85 for each ticket. And Clive's prices are the same, $85 for each ticket, and Friday, Sunday, and Saturday. So that I'm sure that the Texas Frightmare weekend has more details on the photo ops. But if you've been to that convention before, I guess you know the drill. You get in line, and it's pretty much just pose for the photo and move on.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the way it is all with conventions these days.
Yeah, but that's really cool that he decided to come over to Texas Frightmare weekend. So hopefully he'll do also some panel lectures or talks or something.
Yeah, wouldn't it be cool to see somebody cosplaying as the Fly or something?
Oh yeah, you're not kidding there. So imagine having a picture of yourself with Clive and David Cronenberg, and have them sign your copy of Nightbreed Director's Cut. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So and Ed and Nina, you guys have had a little bit of anecdotes and stuff that you've been kind of chatting with us since we've recorded the last few episodes. And one of them, we had talked about is it Light, Wisdom, and Sound? Is that what it's called?
Yes,
the art installation.
It was a night. Yeah, it was a nightclub that was opened up, and it was called Light, Wisdom, and Sound, and it was in what you would call the meatpacking district. Like definitely a warehousey, but that was chic back then,
Sure.
to go to a nightclub where the entrance was kind of not great. Yeah, it was not pretty.
Midnight meat train.
Yeah, it was industrial.
A secret nightclub.
Yeah, it was very chic. Save a lot of money on decor that way.
Oh yeah.
But she was invited by Bess Cutler from
It was Bess and Herb that invited. They invited a lot of people. The guest list was really awesome. Debbie Harry was on the guest list.
Whoa!
Pete Townsend was on the guest list,
wow.
but he didn't come. Debbie wasn't at that event, but I did meet her and her little doggie at an earlier event in the gallery.
Uh-huh.
She used to walk around with her little dog in her arms. Before, this is before the Hiltons, before people walked around with their dogs. It was very unusual. But so Light, Wisdom, and Sound opened up a nightclub, and so Clive's painting was going to be like the backdrop of the stage.
Wow.
So it'd be sort of preside over the dance floor. And so they invited a lot of people that were doing fan publications and stuff like that, or that were familiar, or had been coming to like his opening, his art shows, and
part of his
things like that. Yeah,
fan club.
They sort of were like, oh, okay, these are the diehards.
Yeah,
people who buy his art.
Did you know Don Bertram? Because I think he was friends with the Bess Cutler.
Not
gallery,
by name,
and he hung around there a lot and talked.
So this was
Clive's art.
Don't remember him. I struggled to remember a lot of people's names from those days.
Night.
Oh no, we were. No.
Well, this was the summer of '93,
we had
right?
bagels before we had anything to drink. It was New York. Oh yeah, and we ate somebody's birthday cake too.
All right,
there you go. I think I found the place where that used to be. It was West 29th Street.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. That
Not
takes you back.
Dirty Toad and Toad. But
and apparently Allen Ginsberg blessed the painting with an invocation when it was unveiled at midnight.
He did, and it was
a reading too.
Yeah. He what he did was he told us that he'd written this thing for Clive, and it was sort of in the rhythm of Howl, which was really amazing. So it was only, I think it was less than 2 years before he passed away. So who knew? But his appearances were very, very rare.
The photos, he looks pretty good. He looks
I mean, he was a sort of a fixture of the Village's stuff, so people knew him, but he wasn't doing public readings. In fact, I thought he was dead. It was like, oh, you're still alive.
Oh wow!
The time I said that, I was dead.
Someone actually put a video footage of that night on YouTube.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Yeah, someone called Jill Abrams was there, and she apparently recorded the invocation. And
awesome.
If you go to the Clive Barker archive, it's clivebarkerarchive.com. They put up an article on February 18 called Light, Wisdom, and Sound, where they have some more pictures of that, and that's where I found the link to the video. So that's always cool.
Oh yeah, they did. I did see there's a picture of Clive Barker and Allen Ginsberg that's different than the one that I got.
Yeah.
Because is full color, and the one they had is black and white.
For the young folks listening, we didn't walk around with a little device in our pocket that was thin and with a phone and everything. If you wanted a photograph like that, you had to bring a camera,
a big 35 millimeter with a flash. And
I'm going to be really honest. I was in my 20s and I was female, and I just thought I wouldn't be caught dead with some ugly old camera hanging around my neck. You know what I'm saying? Just no, I'd rather not have the picture because I bought that dress.
I think about that too, because I've been to so many Clive Barker signings in the 90s, and I never had a camera, and I didn't say, hey, pose for a picture with me.
Right.
Yeah.
You
were there for the experience, man. It was the event. It was your life, man.
Signings that have a big backpack, and they just wham you with it, and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why there's not a lot of photos, but what I did was I collected business cards. And one of the guys that I met was a paparazzi guy. That was his. He did a lot of Lady Diana photos. Lots.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I forget his name. It was Victor something syllable name. But anyway, I got his business card, and he sent me the photos afterwards. So I had my own set
for Synobium. Yeah,
for Synobium. Wow. And then we published them in Synobium, but in black and white. But
and the DPI was crappy back then and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So That's awesome. I was trying to figure out who was that photographer, but there's so many paparazzi names on the internet. But so
I'm gonna look him up, and
She might have
maybe
the
we can put it in the
business
notes.
still.
Yeah, maybe we could put it in put it as a comment or put it in.
Because I'm sure in that issue, I'm sure we credited his photos.
Yeah, it was like Victor Rappaport or something like that.
Right.
Anyway.
But you found some photos and you sent them to us and Ryan. So now that you gave us more details about it, we're going to make a little article to go with the photos so we can share those on our blog.
Those were just photos we had in our computer. We actually have
looking for the color ones. I got
full color photos that are like 5x7s or something. Yeah,
they're bigger.
And we'll scan them. So even if we don't find them right away, we'll still send them eventually.
Amazing.
Oh yeah, because I was like, definitely. My friend, was a little disappointed that I didn't bring a camera myself, but I was like, no, I don't want to point the camera. I want to, I want to hobnob. I want to hobnob and drink wine.
So what's amazing is that painting ended up. It was latex paints, so he made them on the floor. He rolled it up. Yeah. And apparently he still owns the painting now. It was in his property, and that's how Phil and Sarah got to discover it when they were going through all the stuff that Clive has that survived all these moves and stuff. And they rolled it out, and they took pictures of it, and it looks so vibrant, so amazing in full color. It's just beautiful. I can't imagine what it would be like to see this unfurled at a nightclub.
Oh, it was you could practically smell it. It was so fresh.
Yeah. Well, he painted it there.
He literally worked on it right up to the last minute.
And I remember you saying on the other podcast I was listening, and you were saying how, somebody probably painted over it, in some, Garrett nightclub in some basement somewhere. Yeah. And then it gets rediscovered. And it must have been something for Phil and Sarah to see this roll of canvas and go, Clive, what's this? And it's like written on it with felt pen or something like, light, wisdom, and sound, and they go, what's this? And they pull it out and unroll it, and it's like, oh my God, it's huge,
Right? Yeah. And I hope they turn it into a poster and sell it.
Can you imagine how difficult it would be to photograph how big that thing is?
Yeah, because it's a little. You need a little panoramic. It's a little, but it's a beautiful, beautiful piece.
But you guys witnessed them scanning those other big canvases of his for the Imaginer books and stuff. So
they were photographed. Yeah.
It must be capable of being done.
Yep. So that's great. We'll put up those photos if you guys find that. We'll put them up as well. And I'm sure Phil and Sarah would love to get those things.
Yes.
Ryan, I also received, just fresh for the news today, I got in the mail an envelope from Royal Mail. Oh. And it turns out it was sent by the Clive Barker Archive. I don't know if you got this as well, but Phil and Sarah sent me a couple of postcards. I believe these are previews of the postcards that are shipping with Imaginer 7 and 8. So there's a couple of postcards here that I have to make a blog post about, but they're beautiful paintings. One of them is Untitled from Imaginer Volume 7, and it's a painting of a tribally painted young man in front of a palm tree. And then there's another one for Imaginer 8, which is called Sandpaper Trees from 2014, so from Imaginer Volume 8. And it's a beautiful painting of Clive with some gray trees on a red sky. So these are going to get a picture taken, and I'll make a post about this.
Oh, neat.
And,
I honestly haven't checked my mailbox in like a week.
Got to remind people that Imaginer 7 and 8 are coming. So, if you go to Clive Barker Archive, you can check them out and pre-order them.
I really appreciate the verb, the vocality of your descriptions and stuff, because I'm blind and this is an audio podcast, and you guys just did the audio commentary of the books of the Imaginer 1 and 2, and the verbal descriptions that you and Marcus and Ryan were doing were like paintings to my ears.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
thank you so much. I guess that's what we were trying to do, but sometimes words aren't even enough just to convey how beautiful and how vibrant some of these paintings are.
Oh, I know. That's one of the saddest things about losing my sight is that, I don't get to enjoy these Imaginer books like you guys. But the thing is, One thing I wanted to mention real quick was, I don't know if you know about this, but on Facebook, there's this new thing where you can describe your photos that you're posting. It might take a moment, a little longer than normal to post, but for blind people like me who are trying to use Facebook, then when I scroll through, I can hear what the description of the photos are,
You mean just the written description underneath?
Yeah, it's a new feature that Facebook is offering where when you post your photos and stuff, if you take a moment and just give it a quick little description like, two people standing on a beach, sunset, whatever. Oh, wow. It doesn't have to be too descriptive, but it's better than just coming across a photo and it just says no description available, kind of thing.
Right.
Wow.
Right. That's an excellent suggestion. And since we're going to have you and Nina join us for the commentary track for Exorcist 3, we will make sure to include a little bit of an element for, accessibility, description of what's going on in the screen as well.
Yeah.
We're going to put that in there.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we have to have the sound kind of low because if it comes through loud enough for Spotify or YouTube or iTunes to catch it, then they'll kick us off their service.
Right, for copyright reasons. Yeah. I know. But the thing is, we can, like Nina will be helping, to monitor it for me. And every so often we can just mention, like something about what's going on, and stuff like that,
Yeah. And if we talk loud enough over the top of it.
And this takes us to our next this actually is a good segue to the next news bit, which is a statement from Doug Bradley, which he posted as an image. So I'm going to read it real quick on the air so people can listen to it. And it says here, so this was posted on March 11, and statement from Doug. It says, "Hi, everyone. Very reluctantly, I have taken the decision to cancel my scheduled appearance at Days of the Dead in Las Vegas, March 20 through the 22nd. Coronavirus? Well, yes, to some extent, and I'll come back to that. But I have other issues to consider at the moment, and to avoid any gossip, speculation, or rumor, I have decided to give you the plain, unvarnished truth. At the end of February, a routine colonoscopy revealed a large mass described as a quote, likely malignant tumor. 2 polyps were removed and biopsied benign, and a sample from this B-movie horror monster lurking up my butt tested positive for high-grade dysplasic cells, which are defined as precancerous. Good news came with further blood work and a CT scan revealing that my liver and kidneys are fine, and that if this thing is cancer, nothing has moved outside the colon. Whatever, the bastard's coming out. So in a couple of weeks' time, I will be undergoing surgery. I have met with my surgeon and his team. He seems to be approaching it as fairly routine, and the prognosis is extremely good. I can expect to be home within a week. Follow-up CT scans and colonoscopies will make sure that all remains well. I would add that I feel fine and I have no other symptoms of anything, pain, weight loss, etc., beyond what is politely referred to as a change in bowel habits. My first inclination was to go to Vegas, giving me a week afterwards to prepare for surgery, but with all the current advice being in the direction of avoiding flights and close contact with large numbers of people, and knowing that if I get so much as a slight cold at the moment, it will result in surgery being delayed, I have taken the decision to stay home. Nothing to say I won't get the damn thing here, of course, but with Vegas in mind, I'm happy to play the percentages in this particular crapshoot. A final note. I am that lazy guy who doesn't go to the doctor unless something is wrong and has never had any tests. Don't do like me. This probably grew from one of these polyps, and if it had been caught earlier, I might not be where I am now. So from 45 or 50 onwards, I urge regular testing for everyone. Apologies to everyone hoping to meet me in Vegas, but I hope you will understand the reasons for my decision. The eldritch gods, in their infinite wisdom, have given me an unusual convention hiatus after this. Time to rest and recuperate, and I look forward to seeing many of you at Mad Monster Party in Phoenix in June and at many other shows through the rest of the year. Peace and pain, Doug.
And I think Max Lichter was going to be bringing the Pyramid Gallery puzzle boxes to that convention in Las Vegas. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he said if one of us wanted to go, he would let us split the table with him.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Nice. Yeah. So thanks, Max. I wish I could. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So it looks like good news. It seems like it was caught on time, and he's going through surgery, and it didn't go anywhere else, so it stayed in his colon. I know colon cancer sometimes is a big cause of death in certain men above a certain age, but luckily, God willingly, they got it in time, and it'll be just routine surgery. I mean, it's not going to be routine surgery, but you know what I mean. It's going to be something that, in the hands of a good surgeon, they should remove it, and he should be fine. Yeah. So, of course,
we're
there's
sending
already
good, positive energy and good thoughts.
Absolutely. So we share this on our podcast page. We shared it on the Hellraiser official page. There's already close to 1,000 comments on the image of everybody wishing him a speedy and painless recovery.
Wow.
Like this, and of course, fans are understanding. I mean, nobody wants their idol or their
hero,
their hero to have to go through an exhausting experience when they're down on their health. So of course,
stuff. Nobody wants butt stuff.
That's right. So let's look at the bright side of things. Yeah. He's getting this taken out, and hopefully the surgeons will do a good job, and he'll be back to scaring people and signing autographs and making movies in no time.
Right. And posing with cosplayers dressed as Lylesburg.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah. So big news there. But, and again, he posted this as an image, so I just decided to read it on air just to be accessible.
Yeah.
And anybody out there who, couldn't see this.
That's cool.
So speaking of the coronavirus, what is it? What are your states doing? Like Ed and Nina, what's happening with it in California? What are they doing?
Well, I'm sure it's very similar to where everybody else is. Well, some people are overreacting and buying up all the toilet paper crazily.
Oh, I mean, just as far as what is the government doing? Are they forcing schools to close and stuff like that?
Yeah, some of that.
A lot of schools are closing voluntarily.
Yeah.
And at our school, we had a meeting about it, and
she works at a chiropractic college.
What our general consensus is, we would like to go to work next week because it's finals week.
Yeah.
So
the
students
all this whole week was
don't
finals.
really want to postpone it because they've put a lot into it, and they really don't want to have their vacation the other way around, where you have to go on vacation with it hanging over your head, and then you come back and take a big test.
Yeah, your finals.
Well, so we're hoping we just get through it.
We just found out yesterday that they're extending spring break for the kids, for another week, and so we're kind of scrambling to try to figure out where Joel's going to go, while we're at work.
Yeah, because you're working. Yeah.
Yeah, and then at the same time, just tonight, I guess the governor just announced that he's going to force all schools to close until the end of March.
Wow, that's quite a measure. In Portugal, the schools have been, also suspended for the next 30 days. So it seems like and Broadway shows have stopped yesterday. There's no Broadway shows going on right now. In Ohio here, 13 Ohioans have tested positive for the coronavirus so far. I think the governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, went on TV to do CNN to do some sort of statement. And then, of course, Fox News says 100,000 believed to have coronavirus in Ohio.
Crazy. I don't know. That's ridiculous.
I don't know. But they closed the K-12 schools and banned large groups of people, This is how they get your freedoms, people.
We've had a couple of weeks to decide what's going on,
Yeah. But it just shows you how unprepared every country in the world was for something like this. It's people scrambling. Nobody knows what they're doing. They're patching things up. And it's very few places.
Can you imagine what it would have happened if it would have been a zombie plague,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. 28 days later.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. But hopefully this will be a learning experience for a lot of countries to come up with their own pandemic plan.
To get prepped.
We've had two cases that were tested positive, but I have a feeling that we might have already had it because we have a huge percentage of Chinese tourists here in Alaska because of the aurora.
Oh.
I think before people were talking about it, we might have gotten it already. I mean, I had some kind of sickness. Well, you guys remember in the what was the commentary for the Dark Ditties commentary?
Yeah, you were not feeling
Oh my
good.
God,
That's
it was
right.
yeah, and I was my microphone was muted almost the whole time because I couldn't talk. And that lasted for like 3 weeks, and I had a fever, and it got almost to like bronchitis. And everybody in my office had that, and Jennifer had that, and Joel just got a little bit sick, but not too bad.
Huh.
So I
You should
don't
see
know.
the face I'm making at my microphone right now. Like, coronavirus infects Barkercast.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, it's crazy right now. I mean, Sarah went to the supermarket yesterday, and she called me from the supermarket saying, "Honey, it's going to be a while." And I was like, what's going on? She's like, "Well, everybody decided to come here, and it's like super crowded, and there's like empty shelves of things, and there was no toilet paper." And I'm like, people, it's not an intestinal bug.
I know.
If you're buying 140 rolls of paper to be home for the next 14 days, maybe you should have gone to the doctor already.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Buffalo where we had blizzards, so we always had prepper
Supplies.
stash. Yeah, nowadays you call it prepper stash, but we always, my parents always had stuff set aside because you never knew when you were going to get snowed in.
Yeah,
so, nowadays we just call it our earthquake stash.
Yeah, especially
because you got to have a stash, or else you're going to end up with an old can of pumpkin filling.
I think I got a can of enchilada sauce.
The only thing you'll have in your fridge is maraschino cherries or something.
As long as you got the booze, man, it's like you're writing it out in style.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, this. It's not as bad as people think, but it's also not something to make light of because in Italy, like in the last 24 hours, 200 people died with it. So it's kind of a big deal. But if you're under like 60 or whatever, your chances of like surviving this are huge, like 90 something percent.
Yeah, you got to be in your 80s or something.
Yeah, if you're a baby or you're someone who's immunocompromised, or someone who's like very weak, frail old person, then it could potentially kill you if you don't pay attention to it. But I don't know. It just seems like it's never been like this. This is something unprecedented in my lifetime. I've never seen anything like this. Of course, there's people who saw typhus and cholera and whatever, but
World War II.
Yeah,
yeah.
But tuberculosis used to kill a whole bunch of people, and now it's like only people, only junkies with HIV have tuberculosis because it's almost completely eradicated. But it's coming back, so that's another thing.
I'm kind of angling at work for working from home, and I think they might let me do it.
What do you do, Ryan? What do you do?
I'm a borough, which is like a county tax assessor. So I go around to people's houses and take measurements and update photos and try to figure out if people have put on additions or if their house has burned down and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
You do taxes for burrow creatures?
Borough.
I know. Burrow. Yeah. I was just making a joke.
Some night breed.
Yeah. But, people, just make sure you got food at home. And I've got friends right now that are also working from home. And the place where I used to work, which was a call center, they just started a pilot program to send some people home and take calls at home from their computers. Yeah. So hopefully by the time we get to May, June, this will probably all be
it'll be blown over by then.
Yeah, until the next year, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
So, hopefully that won't affect Texas Frightmare weekend because that's going to be in June. And people want to see that David Cronenberg, Clive Barker photo op, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they keep that, geez, can you imagine if Texas Frightmare weekend got canceled? That is so huge, such a huge.
Nah, it'll be over by then.
It'll be over by then, yeah.
It'll probably. Oh, yeah. If it had to be, it would just be
May,
postponed.
Right? I forget that it's a kind of just still a couple of months away, but it sells
it'll
out
be hot.
it sells out like 6 months before it starts.
Yeah, the warmer the weather gets, the more the virus will die.
Yeah, it's May 1 through May 1, 2nd, and 3rd.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm jealous of everybody that's going.
Cronenberg writes. I think he wrote a book called what was the name? Shucks. I have the book. I haven't finished reading it.
Yeah, they made an opera of one of his films, I think. They made a live theatrical opera. Wow.
Consumed. It's the novel that he wrote. It's about a couple, and then there's like a murder, and then it's like I haven't finished reading the book yet, but it's so dense. It's so hard to read. It's just so literally dense. You read like a page, and it takes you like 10 minutes to go through a page, and it's like,
you gotta reread it and go, wait a minute, what did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Craig Sheffer said that when he was riding with him in the car, he was just really weird and kind of hard to talk to.
And you met Craig Sheffer, and he told you that in person?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's Cronenberg.
Yeah.
I know some directors who don't like Cronenberg, and then they think he's like a bit on the, I wouldn't say smug, but he, like, I think it was Carpenter that said something about he met Cronenberg and he had a bad experience because Cronenberg was kind of holding court at this writer's dinner of directors, and he went over to him and he was just like kind of blew him off a little bit, but he was like, I don't like Cronenberg. That's like, hey, he seems like a really nice guy. He was in Jason X. I mean, you gotta have a sense of humor to be in Jason X, right?
Yeah.
David Cronenberg was in Jason X?
Yeah.
He was a victim because the guys that produced it, I think his name is Jason Isaacs, was one of the producers of that. That they are from the Bay Area. They're from Chris Walas's company, CWI, who did Gremlins and Enemy Mine, and they did The Fly with David Cronenberg, and they worked on Videodrome and stuff. Those guys were effects artists first. So when they produced Jason X, he was their friend. So they said, "Hey man, when you want to be in my film, I will kill you."
Well, count me in.
Like with Clive, how Clive was in that. What was that cat one? What was that cat movie? Stephen King's
Sleepwalkers.
Yeah, Sleepwalkers. Yeah, where all those guys were in there. There's a little extra.
Stephen King, Mick Garris, and
John Landis, I think.
Yeah. Cronenberg is going to get tired of seeing people with sackcloth masks come up to him.
Bumping into
I
things
think
they
he'll
can't
get
see.
tired of seeing people coming up as Brundlefly and twitching.
Yeah, pulling their teeth out.
Or as the button face,
Yeah.
Anyway, so
that's an easy one to do.
Oh yeah,
business suit and a over the head mask.
Yeah, that's super easy to make. And there's a lot of cosplayers like that in every convention. I mean, I think when I was at Texas Fragment Weekend like 3 years ago, I think I remember seeing someone like that.
I bet you did.
Yeah, and there was a sexy Michael Myers too. He had like really hot pink short shorts and foam muscle body, a naked muscle body, and then he had the mask on. He was just walking around. I was like, oh my God, people were taking pictures with him. It was crazy. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, guys.
Like the gender bending cosplayers too.
Yeah.
Who they'll like Bichot. I mean, the one that's a big fan of Simon Bamford. How she cosplays as his male characters. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and like there's a photo that you see on Facebook all the time that says Ash Wednesday, and it's Wednesday from the Addams Family, but she's also got like a chainsaw like Ash Williams.
Combo.
Combo. That's awesome. Cool. Props to the cosplayers.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if we're going to start seeing cosplaying for Candyman.
Yep. The new cosplay Candyman.
Yep.
Yeah, that will be interesting. We don't even really know what the new Candyman looks like very well.
Right. So until the reveal happens,
Yeah, I got a chance to narrate the trailer for you, Ed, over the phone the last time we talked.
I loved that. That was great.
That was good. Okay, so I think that's all the news for this episode.
Yeah. What about Max von Sydow?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, right. He just died.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Rest in
when I
peace,
found that
Father Marin.
Right,
Yeah.
and that was another thing that you had commented on, Ed, after we did the Exorcist episode. Is Marcus and I were talking about how their old man makeup for Max von Sydow was so good that he looked exactly the same in The Exorcist as he did 40 years later.
Yeah,
in the new Star Wars movie.
Yeah, because Dick Smith was so good at it. He studied pictures of real old people. I mean, he's the genius that did Amadeus. He won an Academy Award for the old man as Salieri and Amadeus. And, he did, not only did he do Reagan's makeup, in the movie, but Max von Sydow. And then, of course, all these other, old age makeups like Little Big Man. I loved Dick. I met him. I knew him in person. And, he, as a makeup artist myself, he was very helpful to me.
And it's funny, I had only just put that together watching The Exorcist, just recently. I'm like, wait a minute, he's not 100 and something years old. What's happening here?
He was like 43 or something when he made The Exorcist. He was like our age. Maybe a little younger. Yeah.
And then, in the Ingmar Bergman film, too, where he's playing chess against death.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
The Seventh Seal.
Yeah.
That's an iconic.
Yeah. But, what's interesting about the old age thing is that really affected his career. Like he says in interviews that after that, people all thought he was old. They didn't want to cast him, like as a young, heroic leading man or, in a love interest or whatever, like he was in Hannah and Her Sisters or something, a Woody Allen film. And, he was completely unrecognizable as, of course, the Father Marin. He was Ming the Merciless in the Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Unrecognizable,
So, Ed, maybe because it seemed to me that there was a huge difference between the makeup they did on him in Exorcist 1 and then when they recreated Exorcist 1 scenes in Exorcist 2.
Yes, it was not Dick Smith.
It was somebody else.
Yes.
And the same with the Reagan makeup looked really weird.
Yes, it was not. It was not Dick Smith.
Yeah.
And they were trying to, recreate it, and they just couldn't do it the same,
Yeah.
William Peter Blatty didn't even want Exorcist 3 to be called The Exorcist because he just hated that movie so much, the second one.
Oh, wow.
And, he didn't want it to be called The Exorcist. And, we'll talk more about that in our next episode next week.
Sure.
Which is going to be the commentary track for Legion, Exorcist 3.
And then after that, we'll have more news and more Imaginer series, and we'll get to Aberrat 3.
Yeah, so a lot to look forward to this year, and maybe some good surprises coming in the future, so stay tuned.
All right, and this podcast, having no beginning, will have no end. You can find the show notes for this episode and join the discussion over at www.clivebarkercast.com. We've got an archive of past episodes, news, features, and reviews, along with all the ways you can connect with us. You can subscribe on every other place you can find podcasts. Share your thoughts with us and share our podcast with your friends. The Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial podcast and news blog that's not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.